Welcome. This is Model Builder, creating a new adaptation using an ASW, a quick clips video resource for SDSFIE training. This training resource is designed for all users who want to learn about using the Model Builder tool to create an adaptation of an existing vector model in the SDSFIE Portal Registry. The prerequisites for this webinar are the first 3 videos in the series of SDSFIE quick clips on Model Builder, as shown here. The overall goal for our training resources is that all SDSFIE users understand the purpose, structure, and parts of the SDSFIE family of standards, or standards framework, and how to implement those standards. The specific objectives for this presentation are that the audience gains an understanding of Step 5 of the model development process, including the following: how to access the Model Builder tool from within the SDSFIE portal and then navigate through its interface, how to upload an Adaptation Submission Workbook, or ASW, and how to interpret the progress indicators presented by the tool for the validation and creation processes, how to download an error report and interpret its contents, and how to fix issues in the ASW as identified in the error report, and then iterate on this process as necessary to build a model in the Portal Registry. This is the 6-step process for developing an SDSFIE V-compliant model using the Portal Model Builder tool, displayed with the quick clips videos that demonstrate those steps. The first video demonstrated steps 1 and 2, defining requirements for the target adaptation and recording elemental level profile, extend, and change decisions relative to the parent model. The last video covered steps 3 and 4 and examined ASW workbooks in depth, and in the process finalized the one used in this video, which covers step 5. Here we will import the ASW to Model Builder, run validation, identify and fix errors in the ASW, and create the new model in the Portal Registry. There are several videos that address the browse and generate functions of Model Viewer used in Step 6. We will now demonstrate how to use an ASW in the model building process and deal with errors as necessary. This is the home page of the SDSFIE portal, seen by a logged-in user. Clicking the prominently located Model Builder card accesses the tool. In the previous video, we reviewed and edited a pre-5.0 Adaptation Submission Workbook, or ASW, that was populated to create a component adaptation in the transportation domain. Thus, we do not need to download a template and can proceed to ASW file selection by pressing the Next button. This is where we validate and create models. Note that as a best practice, we validate until there are no errors, and then we validate and create. From this page, we select the ASW file, and then press the Validate button. You can see that we are taken to the Validate page, and there is a lot of activity. Let's break this down. There are essentially 3 parts to the page. At the top are the 4 progress indicators, which report a % complete for the main validation subroutines: uploading the file, parsing the file contents, pre-processing, and validating the elemental level actions on the parent model as expressed in the ASW. Below the 4 progress indicators is a detailed status reporting box, through which you can see exactly what has occurred and what process is being executed. At the bottom of the page, the summary outcome and instructions on the next steps are presented. We are looking for all green status messages and to be notified of success. As evident, our ASW did not validate successfully. We are told that errors were present in your ASW and that we can download error log, which we will do now. As we can see, the ASW error log, or report, is in a handy workbook format. Let's see what has been reported. As evident, there are 4 sheets, 2 that list any warnings and errors from an ASW syntax and logic perspective, and 2 that list warnings and errors from an SDSFIE Vector Implementation Guidance, or SVIG, perspective. The current sheet is ASW warnings, and there are no records reported here. Looking at the validation warnings, we again see no records displayed. In the ASW errors sheet, there are two errors identified. The first is for an invalid entry in the enumerant model name on row 3 of the profiles sheet. It says that the model element type was enumeration, but we did not specify any enumerations to be profiled in the ASW, only one enumerant. The second is for an unidentified attribute model name of SDSID on row 7 of the entity attribute extension sheet. Let's correct these two errors by editing the ASW and then come back to the validation errors sheet. Opening our ASW and navigating to the Profiles tab, let's look at row 3, where the reported error occurred. Here we are trying to profile an enumerant. We can see that the enumeration and enumerant model names are entered correctly, with no typos or accidental trailing spaces. Here's the problem. We need to change the model element type from enumeration to enumerant. The next ASW error is in the Entity Attribute Extension sheet on row 7. As mentioned in previous videos, exact syntax is required, including case sensitivity. Here, the foundational attribute SDSID was spelled with a lowercase I, which needs to be uppercase to make the model name follow the camel case naming convention. Let's now turn to the validation errors. The first error, on row 2, states that in the attribute extension sheet on row 13, the operational status extension is duplicating an existing attribute. That makes sense given that operational status is a commonly used attribute and is already present in the parent model attached to 54 entities. To fix this, let's comment out this row using a text string starting with the £sign. Like what has been done in row 11 for width UOM, which has already been recognized to be in the parent model. We will copy and paste the text string £, exists in parent model, and enter it so that row 13 with the operational status attribute extension is also ignored. As is the case of the second validation error, pointing to row 7 of the entity attribute sheet, the ASW errors related to syntax and proper population of the ASW often will have corresponding errors for SFIG validation. So we can move on to the last validation error, an enumeration model name not recognized for an enumerant extension. In this case, the error is plainly evident in the message of the error report. Looking at the enumerant extension sheet, we can fix that typo and change sing to sign for the model name. At this point, we can save the file to a new name, say by adding the word corrected to the file name, and go back to Model Builder to see if we have corrected all of the errors. Model Builder is where we left it. If we scroll down, the option to reset and load another ASW is revealed. We want to do just that and want to confirm the reset and start over. We will now iterate through the same exact process as before, selecting our new file this time. So, select the ASW file and then press the Validate button. This time we have success. We corrected all of the errors. If we had not, we would go through the same process we just followed by addressing the errors listed in the downloaded report and trying the validation again on an updated file. Now we will go back and validate and create the model. This process takes a bit longer given that the new model needs to be stored in the Portal Registry. Our model has now been successfully created. At this juncture, most users would typically use the Model Viewer tool to browse the model and generate an Excel workbook or create an empty geodatabase, which is step 6 of the model development process outlined at the beginning of this presentation. Those activities are covered in other training videos to be mentioned next. This concludes the Model Builder, creating a new adaptation using an ASW presentation. A quick clips video training resource. If you are not familiar with the Model Viewer application, you will likely now want to view one of the videos listed here. There is one additional video on Model Builder on subclasses and subtypes. You may also want to view one of the background training videos listed here. All these and videos on other in-depth topics and background content are available from the Training Resources page at the URL shown. Thank you for your interest in SDSFIE.